Hi everybody, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Here we are in January 2021 and this month's videos are all going to be about seeds and seed starting. Today I'm going to talk about the seeds I selected for this year's garden. In future videos we're going to talk about winter sowing, growing microgreens, and how to start plants from seed. Now before we get started, there were two things I wanted to make sure you're aware of. What you're looking at is my website, susansinthegarden.com. And you'll notice there is a guides menu. And if you go down the list underneath it, you'll notice there's a Susan's Garden 2021. And that's actually what I have on the screen right now. This is a table that I created that lists each crop that I'm going to grow this year and then the specific variety. And I also listed sources for the seeds. It's not all of them, but it certainly gives you an idea of places that you can find the seeds. I get a lot of questions about this, so I thought the table would be helpful for you. The other thing I wanted to mention has to do with my brand new book, The Vegetable Garden Pest Handbook. If you missed last week's video, you'll definitely want to go back to it because in it I give you a tour of exactly what's inside the book. And right now there is a special deal where you will get bonus material if you pre-order the book. The material is not inside the book and it can't be found anywhere else. So I definitely wanted to make sure you're aware of that. All you have to do is pre-order it on your website of choice. Send me an email at susansinthegarden.com with your confirmation, and then I will send you a link to the bonus material. So I just wanted to make sure you knew about that. The first thing I wanted to show you is my fancy high-tech seed saving box. This is actually an empty canning jar box, and it seemed like it was just the right size for all of my packets of seeds. And it is to illustrate that you don't need something fancy for saving your seeds in, but the important thing is to keep them in a cool, dark place. I keep mine down in our basement, which works really well. Now what I did is I just took some cardboard to make little dividers, and so this row is all cool season crops, alphabetical of course, warm season crops in the middle, and these are different kinds of flower seeds, and these are all alphabetical. So it's going to be so easy for me to find things. Last year we grew Tavor artichokes for the very first time. I had read that they would produce well in a single season, and that's something that is really important to me because I live in a cold climate, we have a short season, and so we have to grow artichokes as annuals. Well, they lived up to the hype because they produced really well for us, and the artichokes were super flavorful. Last year we grew Italian large leaf, and it was so good and so productive that I definitely wanted to grow it again this year. The leaves are so flavorful. But I've also heard good things about globe basil. This is Fino Verde. They have smaller leaves and the plants have a compact globe-shaped form. So I thought those would be fun to have in the garden to use as little dividers in beds between different types of crops. But I've also heard Fino Verde is one of the most flavorful types of basil. My favorite pole bean to grow is Musica, and sometimes you'll see it listed as Spanish Musica. This is what I grow on the arbor in my garden every year. I've been growing it for ages. It is always extremely productive. They're very flavorful, super easy to grow. I know I'm in a rut, but every year I grow cylindrical beets. They're also known as cylindra. They are a large beet, very flavorful, incredibly productive, and very easy to grow. Here's another variety that I'm totally hooked on, and that is early dividend broccoli. The seeds can be a little bit hard to find, but I am so happy with them because the plants produce huge broccoli heads and they are so tasty. Here's my carrot selection for this year. This first one is Uzbek Golden. It's originally from Uzbekistan, and it's supposed to be a very sweet yellow carrot. Danvers 126 is a carrot variety that I chose because it's supposed to be resistant to splitting. And if you saw my recent Facebook post about how we had a terrible problem with our carrots splitting last year, you will know why I decided to choose this one. This one is called Tonda di Parigi, and I just liked the little round carrots. I thought those would be fun to grow. And then New Carota is one that is supposed to be a super sweet carrot, and so that one appealed to me. This is from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, as is the Uzbek Golden. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I have been growing my own celery for years, and I really like the variety Tango. It's super reliable, and I love just harvesting a stalk at a time so I can have it all season long. Isn't it funny how we get hooked on a certain variety of corn and we don't want to try anything else? Well, years ago, we switched to growing Sweetness Bicolor corn, and it is definitely a family favorite. We get the seeds from Ed Hume Seeds, and these plants are so productive, and oh my, is that corn tasty. This will be the third year that I've grown lunchbox cucumbers. The seeds came from Burpee Seeds, and I think they're the most flavorful cucumbers I have ever grown, so I heartily recommend them. Last year I grew this leek for the very first time. It's Bulgarian Giant, and it came from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. These live up to their name because the leeks are huge. So I was very pleased with them last year, and that meant I definitely needed to grow it this year. Every year I always grow a lot of different varieties of lettuce because I like having an interesting mix of things in my salads. The one on the left is Little Gem, that is considered to be very heat tolerant, and since we get really hot summers here, I thought that would be a great one to grow. I also love Buttercrunch. It's got a really nice crunch to it and a very nice texture. And then Bronze Beauty is absolutely gorgeous in a salad. And on the right is a blend called Red Wing Lettuce Mix. And those have a lot of beautiful lettuces in it as well. You'll notice they're all from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, and I'm really looking forward to growing them this year. You might recall that I grew 3 different types of melons last year. This year I'm keeping things simple by only growing one, and that is Tuscan Napoli from Renee's Garden Seeds. I've grown this one over several years now. It's very reliable, very productive, and the melons are so sweet and flavorful. They also ripen in time for our short season. We're growing 4 different kinds of onions this year because we really love onions, but I only have 2 packets so far. This is Italian Red of Florence. This is a new one for us to try. And this one is Patterson. That's a yellow onion that keeps really long in storage. I grew it from seed last year and it was very reliable. We also have another type coming in seed form, and that is the Italian Red Torpedo. And then I'm also getting some onion sets, and the variety is Stuttgarter. We really enjoy growing peas, and our favorite variety of shelling pea is Green Arrow. Now I have this little packet here for you to see them, but this bag is the size that we buy from High Mowing Seeds, and that's because we go through a lot of seeds each year. Those are on back order, and I'm hoping we'll get them okay this spring. As many of you know, my husband Bill is the expert pepper grower in our family. And so these are the 3 main peppers that he's going to grow this year, and then he is mulling over some other ones to add into the garden. So on the left is Marconi Rosso. That is a sweet pepper, produces large peppers that are super flavorful. It's really a productive plant, and he is totally sold on that one. He also loves early jalapeno for some nice heat. We use those in salsa, and it has been a great variety as well. On the right is Serrano. That is a mildly hot pepper, and he likes to have a little bit of spice, so that's why that one is added in. So there will be other pepper varieties added to that online chart. You might want to check back in a few weeks. Now, every year I grow a pie pumpkin, and I have found New England pie pumpkins to be the most reliable, and a really nice size. So that's why I brought this one up from the basement so you can see the size of it. That is absolutely perfect. So that's a great variety that you will want to try. Now, how many of you have grown sorrel? This is something that you would grow as a salad green, basically. We had never grown it until last year, but some friends highly recommended it, and we thought, yeah, let's give it a try. So we planted it in our lettuce bed, and the amazing thing is that the leaves have this lovely burst of citrusy flavor. We enjoyed it so much that we decided it's definitely going in this year's garden and future gardens as well. So you might want to give it a try. I've been growing Clarimore zucchini for the last few years, but Bill wanted me to try something different, and we've both heard good things about cocozelle. So that's what we're growing in our garden this year, and I'll let you know how we like them. Let's talk about winter squash, and I've got another show and tell for you. So this is an autumn frost winter squash. It's kind of like a mini butternut squash, and it caught my eye, so I decided I was going to grow it last year. It was very prolific, and the flesh is really tasty. So we've used it in soups and casseroles and stews, and I'm very happy with it. So I got the seeds from High Mowing Seeds. My next show and tell is this cushaw squash. This is something I was introduced to by a friend who grew up in the South, because apparently they're grown in the South quite a bit. She told me that these make a fantastic pie, so something along the lines of a pumpkin pie. And I thought, I'm going to give this a try. I started growing them 3 years ago, and every year they've produced well for me, and we love the pies we can make with them. I got the seeds from Baker Creek. Last year I grew these Potimarron squash for the first time. I had seen them listed in the Seed Savers Exchange catalog, and I thought, wow, those look really interesting. You can see they're a really nice size. We've used it in a casserole so far, and it was fantastic. They're very easy to grow, very prolific, and I'm definitely growing them again this year. Okay, we're on the home stretch here, so bear with me. These first 2 packets are of paste tomato seeds. And when I say paste tomato, what I mean is a type of tomato that's really good for canning because it's low moisture. And so you get lots of meat, not a ton of juice, and so it's very quick to make things like sauces and ketchups. So last year, for the first time, I grew Federally. This is also from Seed Savers Exchange. They're long tomatoes, very flavorful, very prolific. I've also grown Gilberti for a couple of years, and this is another one that's a sort of a cylindrical type of a paste tomato, very reliable. And then I always have to grow a slicing tomato, and in this case it is Chef's Choice Orange. I've grown these for years now. They are super prolific and they are so tasty. You cannot beat a tomato sandwich made in the middle of summer when it's with a Chef's Choice orange tomato. And last but not least, Silky Sweet turnips. Now you might think, ew, I don't like turnips, but these are different. They're a white turnip. You could eat them like an apple. They are so tasty, and we made them mashed. We served them sliced with a little bit of a vegetable type of a dip, and we really enjoyed them. The seeds came from Burpee. Okay, that's the end of the tour of the seeds. I hope you found it interesting, and maybe there's something in there that you might like to try in your garden this year too. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next week with another seed-related video.